All right, guys, we're back. Episode 32, the Cutler Cast. It's been a minute. We've been on the road doing a lot of things, but we have another one of our really large guests today, someone who I've had a relationship with for years, and we're excited to have Big Nick Best on the podcast today.
Thanks,
Welcome.
Jay. It's great to be here. Thank you. It's great to see you again.
It's been a minute since I've seen you bending bars at Gold's Gym on Lake Mead in Buffalo.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. Yeah.
I remember the first time I walked in there, and we had seen each other around because I know you were doing something with the medical field. I know that we.
Yeah, well, I was working for the beer company. Actually.
That's right. Okay,
yeah.
So, and I remember walking in and seeing all these weights on the squat rack, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And there you were, and I know there was talk amongst the gym that sooner or later you bent some bars there.
Yeah, been a few bars there.
And this is before like Strongman stuff was apparent, right? Yeah. I remember. I don't know what year it was, but I was like the big guy in the gym, and you were the bigger guy.
I wasn't the bigger guy. I was better at powerlifting.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, but no, it was good. I bent probably 2 or 3 bars there, maybe 4, and then got told I need to bring my own bar in. So I had to put a bar in the back of my truck, pull it out, go in, squat with my own bar, and then put it back.
Can you imagine having to bring your own weights to the fucking gym?
It's crazy. I mean, you were one of those guys. So tell me a little bit about your background. I mean, when did you arrive in Vegas? Like, what is your background a little bit?
Well, here I arrived in Vegas in 1978 when I was 10 years old.
From where?
From Reno, from Fresno, from Phoenix.
All over.
From Illinois. I was born in Illinois. So we moved from there when I was 4, moved to Phoenix, lived in Phoenix till I was 8, moved to Fresno, lived there a couple of years, moved to Reno, lived there about a year, and then moved down here. So I've been here pretty much ever since, except for when I went to college.
So you're like a lifer here, man.
Yeah, I love Las Vegas.
I said that to him I ran into Nick at the World's Strongest Man this last weekend. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Jay's been around here forever. And then I realized, like, he's been around here. I was born in 78. He's been here as long as I've been alive. He's been here double you, and you're like the Las Vegas guy that has been here forever.
Yeah. It's been a trip growing up. Did you guys see the movie Casino?
Of course.
Okay, the baseball team, the Little League team, where the mob guys were the kids. I was on that baseball team.
Really?
It was called the Tigers. I played with Anthony Spilotro Jr., who's a firefighter here in Las Vegas now. So he's a good dude.
Wow.
Nothing to do with the business.
You got mob ties?
No. No.
Yeah, you've seen Vegas grow a tremendous amount then.
Yeah, I remember when the world ended at Rainbow. There was nothing there west past Rainbow. Literally nothing but dirt roads and a couple houses here and there.
Well, listen, I came as the 215 was just getting started, and I remember Tropicana just ending, and there was nothing out there. I mean, the 215 was like going to be the savior to the mess that we see on the 15 that I just got stuck in driving here, right?
Right.
And you working in that, I mean, you've probably seen obviously crazy growth, right? Mm-hmm. And, but a lot of people have their thoughts about Vegas and like how it fits them, right? And I think we see a lot of people come in and out because of, they come in the industry, they work nightlife or work for a different hotel chain, and then, they get transferred out. But I've always said to people, like, a lot of questions arise, how do you stay in Las Vegas? Because all they think about is like the partying and like the only around the Strip, where I live on the outskirts. I'm not sure what side of town you live in, but we get to experience it's like real living, right?
I live up by Shadow Ridge Mountain, so
okay.
I'm about as far north as you can get and still be in Las Vegas. The cutoff's Decatur, and so I'm at like Decatur and Grand Teton, which is way north. So it's quite a commute in. It's a good 35 minutes to get into the city from where I live, and it's quiet out there. The kids can leave their bikes in the street; nobody will take them. I mean, it's rural America, just like anywhere else. So, but 35 minutes, you can go into Las Vegas and
be in the mix of everything.
Be in the mix of everything that's going on between pro hockey and football and everything else that's going on in this crazy town.
So you went to high school here. Where did you go to college?
Went to Clark High School here, graduated in 86. Went to Antelope Valley, which is a junior college in Lancaster, which I think it's a 4-year school now, but I could be mistaken. And then I went up to Sonoma State up in Northern California. Lived up there for about 8 years.
It's a nice area up there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's where Matt, what's his name, lives up in Sonoma Valley.
Who's that?
The guy that has the farm.
I don't know.
Yeah, the guy, our friend up there. He always the guy that brought me up for the expo and all that.
Oh yeah, Neil.
Neil, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's right. He's up there. So you played football there?
Yeah, I played football at Sonoma State, so it was a lot of fun.
And you started powerlifting when?
In 1985.
Okay.
At Clark, I did my first contest in 85. I won the state championships here in Las Vegas in 86. So, and then when
what age was this at?
17.
And you were always were you always bigger or?
No, my senior year of high school was like 195 pounds. My sophomore year, I was about 5'3" and about 130, 140 pounds. I just put on a lot of size and got into weights and just never looked back. I just loved what it did.
I know. What attracted you to it? I mean, were you just naturally stronger than everyone, or?
For my size, I was always really, really strong. And it was just fun. I was we called it hyperactive back then. Now it's ADD, where when I was younger, I'd have to take Ritalin, stuff like that, which we quit taking and just realized if I exercised a lot, I could burn off all that energy. So I would exercise actually before I went to school, all through junior high school and high school. I'd ride my bike or walk or play basketball before school so that I could burn off the energy so I could sit still through class. So
I was 5'3" at the end of my sophomore year. And that summer, in 2 months, I grew to 6'6" in 60 days. So I had a similar, massive growth spurt out of nowhere.
Yeah, your shins are just killing you.
I remember going to sleep every night. I was staying by myself, and all through when I was 16, the summer I spent mostly by myself. And I go to sleep at night, and my legs hurt so bad I didn't know where it was from.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until at the end of summer you look, and I didn't see my mom for like 2 months, and she walks through the front door and she looks at me, and she was taller than me, and now she's up to my chin. I was like, oh shit, I grew. I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always wondered, that, the passion you get into, I was kind of introverted, to be honest, when I started bodybuilding. And like you said, you played sports and you were pretty active. So, I mean, were you popular with a lot of friends, or were you the only one getting into this? Like, who did you look at? Because I know back, I remember Kazmaier, right? I mean, he was someone that I only knew when it came to strongman type things. And, listen, Franco Colombo did World's Strongest Man, right?
Mm-hmm. He did.
So, who did you look at when you started competing powerlifting? It wasn't what you got into with strongman later, right? This was actually lifts.
Yeah.
And what did you excel at the most? Was it a bench, a squat, a deadlift, all of it?
So who I looked at back then was probably Eddie Cohen. Mm-hmm. Definitely comes to mind right off the top because he was the man back then. And Kurt Kozłowski, who I got some interesting stories about that guy. He's a riot, and he's unbelievably strong. I mean, the guy blew through a 1,000-pound squat. I mean, he was deep. Both of those guys. They were the two guys I kind of look up to. And Bull Stewart on the ADFPA side was the guy I looked up to back then. So it was, those were the guys. I was always really good at squats, though, and I was always pretty good at bench. And deadlift was the worst out of my three, and now all three of them are actually pretty good.
Now, at one point, though, you told me you actually competed in bodybuilding.
Well, I wanted to.
You wanted to? Okay.
I wanted to. When I was 20, I thought I was going to be a bodybuilder because...
Well, you said you started at 195, out of high school, right?
Yep.
So, I mean...
But some decent size out of high school.
Yeah, I mean, I was 200.
Yeah, my senior year of college, I was 220, but I was 6'2".
Mm-hmm.
Was 6'2" and a half
for bodybuilding, yeah.
And then my joints, I mean, my wrists and my elbows, I mean, they're not... I'd have to get up on stage at like 290 pounds and be shredded for it to have the right type of look. And that's just not, for me, that's just not a feasible thing that's going to happen. And I was always good at lifting stuff. So
were you a big eater though, or?
No.
Was that always been a challenge for you, the eating portion?
It's been the hardest part of it for me because you just get tired of eating, and I'll eat when I'm hungry. And, I maintain 305 to 310. Just kind of, I eat pretty solid.
What
diet.
are you today? What do you weigh today?
Today I was 308. This morning when I got on the scale.
I'm fucking hurting at 270.
No, I know, but there's a lot. You were not one of the biggest guys, right? So.
Though the heaviest I've ever been is like 325.
And you were just talking about agility a little bit, like how you perform, and it seems like things are kind of shifting that way. Like the guys aren't necessarily. I know they were getting up 450 or whatever, but it seems like now everyone needs to be a little trimmer to perform.
The events are getting a little bit lighter and a lot more speed orientated. So, this is a great time.
But go ahead.
I was just going to say, when was your first World's Strongest Man? And what did you do to qualify for it? How'd you turn pro?
2010. I actually turned pro in 2005, winning a contest in Utah. Van Hatfield put it on, and it was a pro-am. So they had the pros in with the amateurs back then.
Okay.
And if you could win the amateur side of that, you got your pro card. And there was 8 pros in there, and I got second in the first event. Travis Ortmeyer beat me in it by half a second.
I remember Travis. Yeah.
And all the other pros and then the amateurs. So I picked up 6 points or 7 points over all the other amateurs in that one. And then the next one was the log, and I did horrible. I'm bad at the log, and that's just how it is. I get better at it, but it's one of those things it's like an Achilles heel for me, which is okay. The next event was the frame carry, and I got second in that. Travis and I were the only 2 to finish the course. Kevin Nee was the only one to pick it up and get it past the start line. Everyone else got zeros. So here I just picked up another 15 points against all the other amateurs. And then the deadlift, Kevin pulled his last deadlift at 765, Kevin Nee, and was done on his third attempts. Travis and I both pulled it on a second, and I just had broken the amateur record, and which was 755. And he's like, "You just beat my record." I'm like, "Yeah, sorry." Did you want to go on 800? I'm like, "Put it on."
Wow.
And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, put it on." So they called 800. Travis went up and got it to his knees and put it down. I'm like, "You done?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay." Walk up, pull it up, break his record again. Won that one. And then I started counting, and the next event was stones, and I'd never done stones before. And I started counting. I realized I was 2 points to where I didn't even need to do the next event. I'd already got my pro card and won. And that's how I ended up with my pro card. But to get to Worlds, I did the Fit Expo in 2010 and won. Mm-hmm. And Colin had caught me the previous year on the radar because I didn't get into any Giants Live. And at that time, there was no way to qualify for Worlds directly from the United States. It was kind of like almost a special invitation that you were doing really, really good at other international events. And so I had gotten second in Romania at a Super Series contest. And Colin's like, "Look, mate, I'd love to invite you, but I'm going to invite Marshall White because he won." He goes, "But, I'm keeping an eye on you for next year. I win the Fit Expo." And he's like, "Mate, you're in. Just get ready to go." And I was like, "All right."
So like we go NPC, IFBB, and professional bodybuilding.
Right.
Like, what's the ultimate, division? Like, what is the organization that heads up all these strongman stuff? Is there several, or?
There's several, and it's been a mess. So the two big
biggest platform, where do you want to be?
The biggest 2 amateur platforms have no connection to World's Strongest Man.
Okay, how does that make sense?
It doesn't.
Okay.
So welcome to Strongman in the United States. Yeah. So Strongman Corporation and USS do not have.
Those are amateur
federations here.
So either you pick one, whichever one. Did you do both?
No, that wasn't around. It was.
Oh, okay.
What was it? American Strongman Corporation back then, which is Strongman Corporation now. That's Dion Wessels. I had picked her, turned pro, went to IFSA Worlds twice in 2006 and 2007. It folded at the end of 2007. Everybody was kind of left scrambling, trying to find a way to get to World's Strongest Man after that. It took me, 3 years to get in, but I did. But there was no affiliate there. Now there's Official Strongman, which is a subsidiary in an amateur division of Giants Live.
Okay.
Giants Live is the official qualifier for World's Strongest Man.
Okay, so that was just what took place. That's
Yeah.
what you went up to Sacramento for.
Right. Well, no,
we went to world. That was the world's strongest man. That was like
Yeah.
the Olympia.
Yeah.
But is it held in Sacramento every year, or they switch it around like the Olympia
rotate.
used to go? Okay.
They rotated. I think they signed a contract for 3 years with Sacramento. This is the first 2, but I think they're going to go. Well, I know
Myrtle Beach next year.
Myrtle Beach next year. I think they're going over to England,
I think after Myrtle Beach, it comes back to Sacramento.
and then it goes back.
And
to
then it
Sacramento.
goes somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think.
Communities bid on it
Yeah.
because it brings a lot of revenue.
And you've done how many World's Strongest Men?
10.
Didn't you were
How many
telling me
Arnold
that there's only
Classics?
so many people that have done 10.
Yeah, 7.
7 people.
There's 7 of us.
How many Arnold Classics did you do?
2 and an alternate for 1.
Okay. And how many Fit Expos? Because they used to have the Strongman there, right?
Yeah, like 5 or 6 of those.
Yeah, everyone they had pretty much, right? Because it was closer to Vegas. I
At
used
the
to see
pro
you there a
level,
lot. Yeah.
Wow.
And what about Gold's Gym in the 2000s?
You were there. You
Well,
guys
no.
were both there.
Well,
In the one here.
yeah.
in Flamingo.
What about Eiferman's? Were you here at the Eiferman
Yes,
time? Did
I
you
was.
train there?
Yes.
Tell me about Eiferman's gym.
No air conditioning.
I
So
heard it.
let's start with
listen,
that.
I hear so many great things about this, and I'm really disappointed that I missed this because
Oh, Jay, you would have loved it.
everyone that
nuts.
is like was great at bodybuilding from the era told me about how cool this gym was.
It was absolutely amazing.
Where was it located? Tell me, because I don't know.
You know where the Q Club is on Maryland
Yes.
Parkway? It was right next to it.
Okay,
I don't know what it is now, like a massage parlor or something.
but like the who's who went to Eiferman's gym, right?
Everybody, Hulk Hogan would be in there. Bear would be in there all the time.
Yeah.
Bear almost killed me in there one day.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, trying to talk to him, and here I have this 16-year-old kid, and I'm like, yeah, isn't all professional wrestling fake? And that was the wrong thing to say to Bear back then. He scared the daylights out of me because he was huge compared to me back then.
Yeah.
But I talk to him every once in a while. He's a great dude.
And the gym, the culture was great, though, huh?
Mm-hmm.
How long did you train there for?
Probably 3-4 years.
Okay.
So I would come back during Christmas and all the holidays and still go train down there.
And when did Gold's open up? You remember?
No, I don't remember. It had to be probably 87.
I know
88?
someone else had opened the Golds originally, and then
Yep.
the Nesties bought it, and then they opened up more facilities, right? So
Correct.
when I came to Vegas, I came in 2002, where they had the Lake Mead was the newest one they just did. But I was training at Sahara Decatur a lot, and then I was training at Flamingo Sand Hill.
Yeah, Flamingo and Sand Hill.
That was like ultimate, right? I mean, that fit kind of, I bet you're training more.
Oh, I loved it there. I was training there quite a bit, actually. That was a lot of fun for me.
Remember the gym there?
Yeah, that's where we did all the photo shoots.
Yeah.
That's where,
Been-
is that
been a-
where you were been in the bars?
Been a few bars in there. And then I was doing dips in there one day with 3 100-pound plates for sets of 6.
You see, that gym had 100-pound plates. Like, I
I
remember I
don't
used to
even know
use
if
them
you
on the
can see
leg
one
press.
anymore.
Yeah, they wouldn't. It's like a liability. It's just they only allow the dumbbells to go to so much, But they had everything over there, so it's crazy how much transpired.
It was great to train there. It was fun. We load the leg press up and then have guys get up on top of it. And yeah,
That's when you could actually
nuts.
train.
Yeah. Oh boy, you could just get after it.
Yeah,
Who else was in the scene back then around here? Like Powerlift, Strongman?
I don't know who was really
Wasn't that bench press guy here?
Eric Spoto.
Spoto.
Yeah, well, he trained at Gold's, but not when I don't even know what year I used to run into you much, but I mean, I don't even know if it was around the time probably I was close to or winning the Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, you were winning. I think it was the year before or the year that I really started talking to you there, because I remember going to the Olympia and watching you win that year and just losing my mind.
But it's
I was
kind of
so happy
it's
for
kind
you.
of funny because like Strongman wasn't popular then. So when I saw you in there training, I'm like, I didn't even know what it was really for, to be honest. And then of course we started seeing each other at different events between the Arnolds and the Fit Expos, and you started moving up the rankings, and like you mentioned, you've done 10 strongest man, and
Yeah, 10 of them.
like that's
So there's only 7 guys that I was the 7th one to have competed in that 10 times. There's more winners than there are guys that have been able to do it 10 times.
And what's your best placing there?
6th, and then once I got 10th. So
How many guys were in the competition this year?
all over the age of 40.
Crazy. Were you one of the older ones?
I think I'm the oldest rookie to ever go. Ode Hagen's the oldest person to ever compete.
You're going to beat that?
I don't know. I think Ode was like 55, 56.
What was that?
I think Felix might have beat that record this year because Felix is 56.
Is he? Mm-hmm. That was the guy that did the grip strength, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 56.
I know, but Nick, when does it stop, man? Like when
it's not fun. The moment it becomes not fun and I'm not having a good time doing it, I'm done.
Can you break any records at this point? Or how many records have you held, world records?
In Strongman, probably 11 total. 11 or 12.
What was your biggest achievement?
Good God.
Like, give me some examples of like...
The hip lift we did down in Australia. And basically you strap this belt around your waist. And you only got to lift it maybe this far.
Was that the Arnold's or...
It was before it became the Arnold's.
Okay,
it was the Fit Expo that year. And it was 2,535 pounds, like 1,150 kilos.
So what do you have to do? Like squat? It's
like
a belt squat.
Yeah, it's a belt squat.
Okay.
And you got to get up off the ground. Mike Jenkins and I broke the world record by 100 kilos that day. We smashed it.
That's a lot, yeah.
We smashed it. So, and then Mike was 400 pounds. I was 310 pounds.
So bring me back to how you are at home training for that event.
Yeah, how do you train? Can you get ready for that?
Because listen,
this is going to be a funny story because I cracked my back in 2 places doing this.
Well, you'd mentioned, I mean, we'll get into like, okay, all the crazy stuff you've done to try to bring your body back. But so tell me about the training.
So to get ready for the event, I basically set up a belt squat type of thing. And I had a 500-pound frame, and then I put bars on the frame and put weights on the bars to try to get it up over 2,000 pounds. And I think I had it at about 2,200, and I had it too high, and it was on my vertebrae. And it cracked, and it like, I picked it up, and then all of a sudden I just dropped. And
you felt
it. I couldn't move. I couldn't do nothing. I went to go see Steve Shaw, who's a chiropractor here that I played high school and football with, who's a great guy, and he's like, well, your back's really out of place. He fixes it. But he goes, before I touch you, let me do some x-rays. I had cracked L5 in 2 spots and L4 in 1. Like, cracked them, fractured them. And he's just like,
I can't fix this.
He's like, I can straighten it back out. He goes, but I don't know. He goes, you can probably make it. He goes, but then nothing and let it heal all the way. I was like, okay. So I went down and did it and ended up breaking the world record.
And this is all you're training at home when you mentioned this, right?
So this is out in the middle of the street.
You makeshift these things out of your, so you're training at home now, right? You mentioned the gym, because I asked you where you train. So you migrated away from the gyms to kind of work around the events that you're up against, right?
Yeah. Well, I got just a boatload of Strongman stuff at the house, like finger fingers.
What do your neighbors think?
For the most part, the neighbors
are they fans
great.
Or?
Yeah. Thank God, yes.
I mean, you're bringing a frame out in the street and you're picking this thing up. I mean, the little kids in the neighborhood riding their bikes and you're 300-something pounds, right?
Yeah. So they come over, they give me a high five, they sit there and watch. People, when I first started doing it, people came out and like watched for a long time. And then we did a couple things with like TLC for the World's Strongest Family and that stuff. And most of the neighbors have seen all that and they've seen the camera crews, so they're pretty cool with it. We had one group of neighbors that weren't really happy with it, and they eventually decided it was better for them to move, so they did. And the people that moved in there are great. So
tell me, how do you practice the keg toss?
Well, being that I used to work for Nevada Beverage, I have a whole bunch of quarter barrels.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Do they know you have them?
Yes, they do. they do. There's a cooperage fee that they have to pay for.
Is that still an event or?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I think
last year.
Shaw did it
last year, not this.
Oh,
this
okay.
one.
Last year,
he broke the record.
Broke his own record.
I was going to say, yeah.
So basically, I grabbed those kegs. I set them at the weight.
It's a keg, though, right?
Yeah, it's a pony keg, quarter barrel. Put them in the back of the truck. Take the yoke to the back of the truck, and then I have some stands, PCV pipes that go in there, and then I put it in the middle of the volleyball court over off of Buffalo and Tenaya.
Okay.
And I do keg toss over there. Or not Buffalo and Tenaya.
You know what I'm thinking of right now? Just think of it like this. Like, if you want to be Mr. Olympia, you just have to go get a gym membership. He can't just. He has to buy everything.
I know, but the thing is like, and he's makeshifting these things to try to duplicate. But the events change all the time, and if someone gets good at the event, they seem to change it, right?
Correct. Yeah, or take it out of the contest, like Brian with the Atlas Stone of the Arnold. They took that out of the contest because he was too good.
Yeah, you know what I hate? What I used to love is the dumb. It was a dumbbell, and they had that, and they did it on the Arnold stage. They stopped doing it though, right?
I don't know what. Yeah, that was
like
awesome.
that used to be at the night. Like that's really
the
what.
night show.
Like it helped Strongman get a lot of recognition because honestly, that was almost more entertaining than the bodybuilding show.
Seeing the 200, what is it, 275 pounds?
Yeah.
And seeing the guys up there and they walk out the flag and it was always a highlight. You always
he
look
was
forward
there.
to
He
the
was
night
on
show.
that stage.
I was up there. Always amazing. Yeah.
Always look forward to it.
Yeah. One of the years I did it, we had the frame carry for as
That's when they carried the thing. Yeah.
So world record, like, you know, we talk about my Olympia wins and I can usually say like 09 or 01 was my favorite. Like what was the world record that you like was the biggest high point of your career?
Kind of the one that was most memorable for me was the one with the Farmer's Walk, because I was in Iceland. It's 2006. It's my first
beautiful place, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. We were there in November,
so
we had like 5 hours of sunlight, and you get the northern lights, and it's beautiful.
Did you go to the warm springs?
Yeah, we went to the Blue Lagoon. We went there like 3 times.
I want to go there this year.
Pretty cool, yeah.
I love that place.
The fans were great there. I went there that was before Thor when all these guys were popular, you know. But so you did the Farmer's Walk.
Yeah, so I'm there. I'm not sure if I belong there. That was the year I got 6th at Nationals, and they were supposed to take the top 6. And then all of a sudden they cut it to the top 3. And then I was like, but Dion tells me, keep training like you're going because you never know what's going to happen. Kevin Nee signed a contract with Metrex and competed only in World's Strongest Man, so he couldn't go to IFSA Worlds anymore. He's out. John Anderson blows his knee in, I think, the Ukraine doing a strongman contest, doing a wrestling thing where they used to go head-to-head and push each other out of the ring, like sumo wrestling. Blows out his knee doing that, so he's out. And then 3 weeks before the contest, Derek Poundstone hurts his back and has blood in the discs, so he couldn't compete, and I'm in. So I get to go, and I remember Yarno Hams was sitting there teasing me, going, "You're lucky just to be here." I'm like, "Yep. You gonna be able to pick some of this stuff up?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'll do okay." You know, and then I make the finals. First event I do is the World Farmer's Walk, and I break the world record, and not even knowing I was racing Benedict Magnuson.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I used to see him a lot.
Explain what the Farmer's Walk is.
So basically, the one I did was there were 6-foot cylinders, and the handle's inside the cylinder. So you pick it up. There's no way to get the cylinders off your legs. And they're 275 pounds a piece, which isn't overly heavy. It's just super awkward, and you had to make turns.
Because they're long, too, right? Yeah. So you kind of have to, like your wrist has to be super, so it doesn't drag on the ground, right?
Exactly, and it had feet on it that would hit the ground.
Okay.
So if it hits, it drags you.
Yeah, and it sends you wobbling all over the place. And then you had to make turns at 25 meters. So it was 25 meters down, a turn, 25 meters, a turn, and then another 25 meters. And the world record, I guess, was like a little over 50 seconds, and I did it in like, I think 46 or 47.56 seconds.
Does that stand to this day?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was pretty.
And how much are they walking, farmers? How much that big move the weight up now?
Yeah, the weights have gone up. I mean, there's different world records. The most ever done now is like 455, and it's for 20 meters, so it wasn't very far. Which I think I can still break that record, and I'd like to actually try to do that at some point next year. I want to take like 465. I've managed to pick 500, and I've got about 5 steps with it, but there's only been like a handful of guys that didn't even pick that weight. So I don't know why I have a great grip when I.
That's what I was going to just say. Like,
I just do.
You ever use straps or?
Yeah, well, yeah, I use straps.
Like when you train. Oh, so you're allowed to use them for this?
Not for farmers.
Okay,
no.
okay.
But for like deadlift for reps and back training, stuff like that.
You believe that helps with your grip strength, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like I did shrugs last night with the 150-pound dumbbells for a set of 50 with no straps. So
and thick handles.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to give you.
So my forearms were just trashed by the end of it, and my traps.
So you have that. What other world records do you have now that are still standing today?
There's a 2-inch axle deadlift record where I deadlifted 350 kilos 13 times in a minute. So it was about a 18-inch deadlift, but I know that one still stands. The hip lift still stands. The farmer's walk still stands. Both the shield carry records stand.
Which one's that?
I picked it's called an IFSA shield. It's 402 pounds. You pick it from the ground, set it in your lap, wrap your hands around it, and go. I went 98.9 meters with it from picking it from the ground. And then the elephant carry at Worlds, I went over 75 meters with that 440-pound elephant's head. So those are two that I know that those are the ones that I know that are still standing. And I'm sure there's a couple other ones I'm forgetting. The yoke with 925, I went 20 meters in 9.21 seconds.
How many events are there usually in a competition?
Strongman contests, single-day strongman contests, you go between 4 and 6. Usually it's 5 to 6. Multiple-day contests, like World's Strongest Man, they'll do 6. You'll get a day off, and if you make the finals, you got 6 more to do with 1 day's rest.
Not so easy, huh?
No,
It's just brutal.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
This last year wasn't terrible, but the year before, when they didn't have a crowd, it was 115.
Yeah,
and these guys were out in the sun. But when Brian did the keg, 115, because I left Vegas, and I remembered leaving here because it was like 118 here, and I was like, oh, I'm getting the fuck out of this heat. And I got there, and it was just
right back into it. Yeah.
Some of the exotic places that the strongman business has brought you to, like what's some of your best?
Malaysia was pretty exotic. The Philippines, been to China, Korea, Australia. Been there a couple times. That was a lot of fun.
What's your favorite?
Iceland and Australia are probably my 2 favorite ones.
They did it in Sanya, China.
Sanya, yeah.
Sanya.
Mm-hmm.
I did a tour there, in the music industry years ago, and I remember seeing it.
And how do you fly there? In coach or first class? How do you fit? Who sits next to you, man?
I don't know, but I feel bad for him because most of the time the promoters aren't putting up the money to put us in first class or even business. But there's that one class that's above coach. Mm-hmm. That's what we're usually flying. The one that's just above coach. The seats are just a little bit bigger.
I don't want to hear you complain about flying.
No, so the one thing that
that's the one thing I loved about the TV show though, because Brian and Eddie got it to where they had to fly us first class everywhere. I
want to talk a little bit about that, but do you like to fly? Do you dread it? Because I dread it every week. I go to fly. It doesn't matter if I'm flying in the best airline in the best seat. It's still that time you can't get back. So like when we go west to east or vice versa, or even our international trips, it's really hard for us, to like after doing so many years, I think, man, how am I going to get these 6 hours or 8 hours or 20 hours back in my life, right?
Right.
And I don't know how you sleep on a plane. Like, do you pretty much fall asleep? Okay.
I don't, but if it's going to be a super long trip like to Australia or to Africa, Africa was the longest. Been there 3 times, Botswana and South Africa. Those were like 31-hour trips. So I slept on the plane. I took prescriptions on the plane to sleep.
Now, prior to you being on this TV show that we'll talk about, pretty in depth about this, how receptive were people to you with your overall size? Because I know I got a lot being who I was. It's hard for us to blend, right?
Oh, you don't.
So
I can still blend. Brian can't blend. I can blend a little bit. I'll look like a big dude walking around, and I'll get now it's different after the TV show. Mm-hmm. But before the TV show, I was big, and people would say stuff to me. But Brian can't blend. There's no blending for him at all. I can get away with it a little bit, but none for him.
Yes. So the TV show,
Strongest Man in History.
Yep.
Talk about how that came about. And
how did you get chosen for this?
So Chris Dukes, I don't, forgive me for saying your name wrong, Chris. With 215 West, it was originally their idea. They had the idea for the show, and they called me and they're like, "What do you think about this?" I go, "That'd be great, doing old-time strongman and doing their feats of strength that made them famous." And almost
explain to because not everyone in our audience has seen it. Explain what the show was about.
Okay, so basically the show's about taking old time guys like Paul Anderson, for instance, Louis Cyr, stuff like that, and doing a history on them, talking about what they're about, where they lived, how they lived, stuff like that, and then recreating their feat of strength. And then almost myth-bustering it at the same time. Was it real? Was it fake? Could they do it? What
But a lot of these weren't proven. They were more folklore or just stories told.
Yeah, some were folklore, like Orm Strollison's log. You come to find out he never lifted it. There was 30 Vikings that grabbed a hold of this king's ship mast, which was 1,430 pounds, and they set it on his shoulders. So why they thought this was a good idea, I have no idea. He managed to get about 5 steps with it, then it folded him in half and killed him. They neglect to tell you that before you go in there and do it, by the way.
So Shaw talked about this, right?
Yeah. He was on it. Him, Robert Oberst,
and Eddie Hall.
Yeah.
And yourself.
Yeah. So how did the call come to you?
So the call came to me from Chris, and I was the first phone call.
Okay.
So he threw out a bunch of names. I go, well, Eddie would be great. Eddie's personality, and then Eddie's super strong. I mean, he's deadlifted 1,100 pounds. Not a lot of guys done that at that point.
No.
So
I was there. I was in the expo hall when he did it, and how loud the crowd was, and it was amazing, right?
Absolutely amazing. So basically, Chris calls me, runs all these guys past me, and I'm like, yeah. He's like talking about Brian. I was like, yeah, absolutely. Brian's 4 times world's strongest man, and he's the biggest walking freak you'll ever see. And we'll all get along together. And they said Robert Oberst. I go, well, Chris and I had already worked with Robert on a pilot for another Strongman show. It fell through. I go, well, you already know Robert and I get along, and you know how we play off each other. Yeah. I'm kind of the straight-laced one, and Robert's the crazy cannon. So, it just works. And he's like, okay, that's great. And eventually they started going through everybody and talking about the contracts, and we got it all signed. And later that year, at the beginning of 2019, January 3rd, we started filming.
Did you see any of them?
I did not, and now I'm angry that because I want to watch it now. You know what I mean? So
earlier today, I watched some of them. If you go on YouTube, they have some of the segments clipped down to about 7 or 8 minutes, so you don't have to watch the whole thing, but it highlights everything. So you get to see we watched the one where you guys carried the cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like.
So can I watch it right now, or where can I? So how do I?
YouTube. Just go Strongest Men in History. I'll send you links.
YouTube, Hulu.
Yeah.
And each episode was how long?
Channel. Like 30. Well,
for some reason,
they're a little over 40 minutes because the TV
You can watch the condensed ones.
Yeah. Okay.
On
I thought I saw one with Eddie talking shit or something one time. That's all he did, right? Okay.
So you know what's funny?
That's every episode.
We had Brian on here. Brian said some of the funniest shit never made it.
Didn't.
Like some stuff that was just roll on the floor.
Oh.
I mean, I remember I don't remember which one it was. They had a bet like the loser had to drink water out of someone else's shoe.
Yep. That one aired, though.
Yeah, but they do that with the UFC guy.
No. This is different.
No,
this is disgusting.
Yeah.
It was like the loser, and I forgot who lost.
Robert.
And Eddie took his shoe off, and he hadn't worn socks in long, and he put water in. He had to drink it out of his shoe.
So side note, those were my shoes, not Eddie's shoes.
Oh.
Eddie borrowed my shoes.
Oh.
For that episode. And those were the shoes I used to run the yoke in the summer here. So they're absolutely disgusting.
He puked.
Oh, he threw up?
Yeah.
Really?
He put a whole cup of water and he started drinking it.
We never
vomited.
He never cleaned them. He never did.
No.
See, the thing is like my shoes are all nice. I don't have like I wear socks and whatever. So it's like you guys wear like dirty.
No, these things look disgusting.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even wear socks anymore. I just put my shoes on. Yeah.
Damn.
So it's,
this is like real strong man. Yeah.
So I mean, Eddie's shoes wouldn't hold water. There were holes in them. Yeah. So these were shoes that I train with, and we figured out that they would hold water. So those are the ones Eddie put on to use for it.
No, so, it's really entertaining.
I still got the shoes. It makes me smile every time I see them.
Really?
Yeah.
So a lot of great memories with this thing. So it was a great.
And you guys filmed all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And it gave you how much publicity?
A lot. More than,
like people stop you today and say,
I got stopped probably 5 or 6 times in the airports now. And
Yeah.
Like I'll go walking down the strip or just anywhere. I get stopped and recognized now.
Did that make you feel pretty good, or because like this is strongman? Like it's now propelled. Like I feel strongman is like it's a huge thing now, right? Mm-hmm. And I think there's some certain pioneers, and you must feel like you're actually one of those pioneers.
Even when we go to the Arnold, strongman is still the highlight. More so, in my opinion, more so than even the bodybuilding show. It was the deadlift at the expo, and then the circus dumbbell at the night show was everything everyone looked forward to because it's a feat of strength that none of us can fathom doing.
Yeah, it's so neat to be up on the stage in front of all those people too. I mean, it is amazing to look out and see 60,000 people just jammed, like I don't know, ants, just packed in there just to watch us, and you're like, man, I better lift this.
I remember that guy from Russia, and he was deadlifting, and his nose started bleeding, and he kept going, and you see it in his teeth, and he just kept going and going and going.
That dude is tough.
Yeah,
I mean, the amount of injuries that guy's had, and he still competes with him that way. I mean, he was at Masters last year, at Masters World's Strongest Man, last November in Daytona Beach, and he tore his Achilles off. And he's already had it surgically reattached, and he's already training and doing yoke again. I mean, that is one tough.
Aren't you kind of doing the same thing?
Didn't say I was smart.
Well, tell me, like, you're in your 50s now. Mm-hmm. And I just asked you a question. I said, when does it stop? And you said, when it's not fun anymore.
Right.
Obviously, there's guys still competing at a certain age bracket. But how do you feel? Like, what from 20 years ago versus now, you're still having fun doing it, which means you're still great at it.
Well,
But do you feel like this has damaged you to a certain point, and how have you avoided certain injuries? I mean,
it does its damage, 100%.
How many tears have you had?
I can't even count.
Like biceps?
Both biceps.
Upper? I tore my upper.
Lower here.
Okay, so you tore it.
Lower
repaired?
Here. No, because
you
it
just
was
let it heal.
Muscle bellies.
Okay, so muscle tear, so not
pec.
Okay.
Soleus on my left calf. Inguinal hernia. Tore my lat off about a year and a half ago, or not a year and a half, about a little over a year and 2 months ago.
But when you have these tears, doesn't it weaken like your strength? Or not necessarily once it heals?
Depends on how it heals. The biceps really didn't affect it that much because nothing really separated. It was just muscle belly. So it really didn't affect it. And Strongman isn't like bicep dominant per se, where your biceps are lifting things. You need them, but if you don't use them as much, it's not the end of the world. The pec tear hurt my benching. Probably took 60, 70 pounds.
I know, but you don't need to bench, right? I mean,
I still powerlift though.
You do?
Yeah. So May 1st, which I got surgery on my lat May 1st of last year, and this year I competed May 1st and totaled just as much as I totaled the day I tore it, and broke 2 world records. Wow. So I squatted 821, then deadlifted 744. So it's. Yeah.
So you said you wanna get on the World's Strongest Man stage.
I want to do it one more time. I want to prove myself I can still get back.
So what's the process for that now? So I'm assuming you have to prepare yourself a certain way, get your body ready. What's the next step from here? Where do you go from here?
So I'm doing a Masters show July 23rd called Clash.
Where's that?
It's going to be in Missouri, Columbia, Missouri.
Damn, I was kind of hoping it was Houston, Texas. Because that's where we're at.
That would be that'd be really cool.
Is Brian at that one?
Yeah, Brian's going.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I was trying to get Brian to come, and he's like, I got to go to this event. So Sir, you took Brian from us. Thanks a lot.
Wasn't me. It was Chad Coy. He's the promoter.
So you're going to compete there.
So I'm going to compete there. I'm going to come back, probably do a powerlifting meet, but something else might get thrown in there instead. But I was going to do another powerlifting meet in October. That'll be in Utah.
Okay.
So that won't be too bad. And then Masters World's Strongest Man is in November at Daytona Beach again. So I was going to do the Masters, but since Felix this year is going in the over 50s, I'm going to go into the over 50s with him to really make the class that much tougher and have a lot of fun.
Masters is considered what?
Anything over 40 is a Masters.
Okay, but do they break it up over 40 and over 50 like separate, or?
Last year they did the very first over 50.
Okay.
But you didn't technically win anything for that. This year you'll win the technical title of over 50, World's Strongest Man over 50.
So to get your body prepared for this, do you have to get heavier like some of the guys? You have to get smaller? Like what do you have to do?
My goal is to get in up to between 315 and 325, body weight wise. I don't want to pack on a lot of weight that I'm someday going to have to take off.
How much do you eat, bro? Just be honest with me. Like if I asked you how many meals do you eat, or do you guys just eat? Do you graze, or do you just eat large? I eat meals?
3 really large meals, and then I graze intermittently throughout.
Can you give me an example? Breakfast.
So breakfast would be basically 2 cups of cooked rice.
Okay.
With
100 grams of carbs, 80 grams of carbs. Yeah.
Yeah. A pound of hamburger, and then about 8 eggs.
Whole eggs.
Stirred in
Mixed
there
up.
with some bell peppers and carrots and stuff like that in there, and then a whole bunch of bone broth. I'll pour bone broth in there. Makes it
big now, yeah.
Yeah, it makes it does make it easier to eat, just because the rice isn't dry and everything else, and it's supposed to help with the digestion. I feel better doing it. I'm not as gassy, that's for sure. So that really helps. And then later on, I'll probably have some type of a protein shake, or just intermittently I'll grab protein bars. Couple of.
Do you have sponsors or
supplement sponsor? Not yet, but I'm negotiating right now. Okay, so we'll see how that goes.
Jay's like, I'll sign you to Cutler.
So,
well, you said protein shake. That's why I'm saying. You know?
Yeah.
There's a couple around here somewhere.
Yeah.
What about like a lunch or dinner?
Lunch or dinner, I'm back to almost the exact same thing without the eggs, and then. Like 8 ounces of orange juice, 8 ounces of cocktail, cranberry juice. Yeah. And then it's probably 2 pounds of hamburger that are thrown into that one. And then
you hear this shit, Larry?
So your stomach goes from normal to disdain to normal to disdain about 4 times a day.
Mine's just
and then
disdain all day.
But I will intermittently eat also throughout the day. Like I'll get up and if I need sodium with something in it, I'll eat some type of salty snack that has sodium in it, just to get it in. Like I got an air fryer, so I'll throw French fries in there, and then put some salt the heck out of the French fries. So
you're gonna have to eat a little more because you said you're 308. You see 308 today, so you're gonna gain 10 pounds or 10 more.
10 to 15.
And how are you going to do that?
Just eat more.
It's kind of a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
That's what I have.
Quite honest with you.
I remember I was 300 at 5'9". It was.
I just remember watching you pack it in and watching you eat at the gym, like right before or right after, and you're just like, some of the times you just look miserable.
You don't. Yeah, I mean, it took me an hour to eat my meals, and I don't know how long it takes you to eat these meals. And who preps the food?
Me. Yeah. Me. If I can get a food prep company, I'm all about that. Yeah. Watching Brian at Brian's house, I'm just like.
But he eats a lot, right?
Yes.
And he's down in weight right now.
I don't know. I don't know what he
is.
Man,
I've seen that guy just eat so much food that.
When you guys go out to eat when you were on this filming for this show, like. What was that like?
They had times they'd go out to eat and they'd have eating challenges.
Okay, so did they cover those expenses while they were filming? So you guys,
what was the best eating challenge that you remember from that?
Oh, the worst one was the crab cakes. It was like,
I mean, worse, but like, why?
Because it was just horrible. You just felt them squish.
Yeah.
You could see all the stuff. Like if you bit through it, it was just.
I don't eat crab cakes.
Yeah, you're lucky.
I don't like
smart.
Yeah,
that's smart. The best one was when we got just this whole entire, like, I would almost say leg of beef that was like 20-something pounds, and we ate as much as we could off of it, and then weighed it at the end. And whoever had the lightest one won. They weighed them all before we went. So whoever
Who won?
Me.
Wow.
So the way I won though was the guy that cooked them. They were ready an hour before we ate, and our filming went long, so they sat in and they got overcooked and they got really tough.
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting here looking at this thing, and I'm cutting pieces off it and trying to chew it. But there was this big slab of fat on one side, so I cut underneath the flab, the fat, and it was all soft and tender.
Yeah.
So I was pulling it out of there, and I was actually able to chew it and get it down faster than the other guys before the time ran out. I didn't win it because I could eat more than them. I won it because I found the soft.
I'm shocked that you still have the hunger to eat, because I know when I retired at 40, the best part about my retirement is I don't have to force feed food. And if you asked me where I would like to eat out, like I have friends or associates that come to town, and the question is, hey, I want to take you to dinner. Like, I don't look forward to any food at all. Like, there's nothing that I like to eat. So you being so active like this for so long, like, is there anything that you say, Jay, I really like to eat this, or is it just for function based on your job?
No, there's things I still like to eat. I still like my mom's lasagna.
We all love lasagna, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And my mom's half Italian. My grandma was 100% Italian. I'm quarter Italian. So my mom's lasagna is...
So you like pizza too? And
I'm not a big pizza guy, though. I will eat risottis every once in a while.
yeah.
I like the thin crust pizzas. But my mom's lasagna, I still love really good cuts of meat. Like really good cuts of meat. I love prime rib. You know, I got a Traeger grill, so I grill on the Traeger. And I've kind of fallen back in love with eating meat from my Traeger, to be quite honest with you.
How it's prepared.
Yeah, because it's so much better when you make it at home.
So you're getting ready to go compete in your 50s, and how we talked, you know, off record before, and you got some procedures done to help with that. Talk about the stem cells.
Yeah, so BioAccelerator, I got hooked up with BioAccelerator, and I went down and got stem cells, and man, it cut my walking around pain in half. Like literally cut my walking around, my everyday moving around pain in half. And after beating on my body for 39 years, that's a big difference, because I've had more than my fair share of injuries. So I just, third day in, I got up, went to the bathroom, and it didn't hurt to wake up in the morning and go to the bathroom. I just popped right out of bed. Normally I'd have to pop out of bed, go take a warm shower, loosen up in the shower. I got a big shower, so I stretch in the shower every morning when I wake up, and I didn't need to do that. I just walked up and went to the bathroom and kind of cruised around and was able to start my day. You know, it didn't hurt as bad, but I got 20 million in my shoulder, 20 million in my hip, 5 million in each elbow, 10 million in each of the discs in my lower back, L1 through L5, 1 million in each of the facets, 30 million intraspinal, so they went into the spinal fluid, because I played football back when you could lead with your head, and to help with the concussions, because I've probably had, from what we call concussions now, I've probably had over 100 of them, which helped my recall a lot too. And then another IV with another 50 million.
Well, how do you know how much is effective with stem cells? And where did you get this done? In Colombia, you said, right?
Medellin BioAccelerator.
Okay. And we know that some of the other athletes have gone there before.
Yeah. Frank Mir's been there. Hughes has been there. Rybeck's been there. Kevin Nash has been there. There's been a lot of, you know, Lee6 has been there. Martins has been there. Look at Martins. I mean, he got hit by 2 different cars, and he just got second at the world.
You know, Rybeck used to work at Gold's Gym at the front desk, you know.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he used to work at Gold's Gym Decatur. How funny is that? He trained at Lake Mead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to see him there all the time, but he used to work at the front desk at Gold's Gym Decatur Gym.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't.
A big wrestler. And
yeah. I've trained with him a few times.
Now he's doing supplements and stuff. I see his ads on there. But so you got the stem cells. How long is the recovery from something of such?
Well, when you go get the stem cells, they don't want you to do anything to cause inflammation in muscle or anything else for at least a month. They don't want you working out or anything. They want it to go to the areas that are inflamed in your body and start working on those. Because a stem cell can become any cell. It can become cartilage, it can become bone, it can become nerve, it can become brain tissue, it can become anything. So they want it to go to those areas and work. And then after a month, you can start training very light and start doing movement-based exercises, which will create inflammation in those joints a little bit more, and it will go to there and heal. And then about your third, fourth month in, you can start trying to get back into lifting shape. And by your fifth or sixth month, you can go right back to full on go.
And how long did it last? I know everyone's different, right?
Everyone's a little bit different. For me, it lasted about 1.5 years because I tore this off, my lat. I completely pulled my latissimus dorsi.
That's where your scar is right there.
Yeah, it's pretty tasty.
Oh, yeah.
And how did you do it?
Trying to break the world record in the deadlift. I was trying to pull 821.
Did you feel it?
I pulled it off the ground. I was like, oh, I got this. And then it just popped. It just snapped.
It's hard to tear your lat, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a pretty
usually
a very common thing.
You usually tear a bicep or something like that first.
Yeah. No, and the guy's like, oh, he tore his bicep up. I'm like, nope, it's my lat. And I immediately knew because I could immediately put my hands.
Yeah, because he probably saw the movement of the body release, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty nuts when you watch the video on it. It looked like I got just shot.
Separated, yeah.
And here, a year later, you're back at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were showing me a video when we were at the Strongman. He's like, look, I was just pulling 700 pounds again.
Yeah, I pulled 700 for 7 that day. So, but yeah, I feel a lot of the way I've been able to heal from this is because I still was under the effects of the stem cells. 100%. Because I'm still probably 6 months ahead of where the doctor expected me to be. I mean, within 2 weeks, I wasn't purposely, pushing it. I would either lay down on the couch. He said I could put, my own weight on it, but I couldn't force anything. So I just lay on the couch and just sit here like this and let it hang, and so it wouldn't tear anything else. I had my full range of motion back and better range of motion back within 2 weeks of the surgery. And then I would just go in the swimming pool and move my arms around.
Good exercise for it.
Just get blood flow in it with no stress of the environment. Because it's a much lighter weight.
Stem cells before this.
Yeah,
so 6 months. Probably helped with healing.
Yeah,
still.
yeah, that was.
We need to go to Columbia now.
Yeah, tell me about your business. Tell me about you've developed a brand now.
Yeah.
So I know you were working in the beverage before.
Yeah, I did beer for.
And you stopped,
18 years.
right? I mean,
I had
just to focus on your career, right?
Yeah. So basically, I spent 18 years. The reason why you saw me sparingly at expos is because I worked full time. I worked 55 hours a week. I was a supervisor for Nevada Beverage, and my sales team was in charge of the hotel casinos. Mm-hmm. So there's 14 sales teams at Nevada Beverage, and my one team was 25% of the volume. So that's pretty important. Yeah. So I can't just take 10 weeks off to go film, and I had to make a choice, leave my career and start a new one, or regret it. And I decided I didn't want to regret it.
So tell me what you brand yourself with now.
Best Strong. I work with Barbell Apparel, and we sell Best Strong t-shirts from them. And then I've just gotten into coaching, so I'm doing some online coaching with that, which is doing really well.
Strongmen or powerlifters?
Both, yeah. Or anybody over the age of, or anybody basically, but anybody, especially people over the age of 30, 35, that want to get in shape and do stuff. So
you love it, or?
Yeah, I love it.
You love teaching people.
I love teaching. I love hands-on. It's so much fun.
You did it your whole life, right?
Yeah.
So how does it feel now to kind of be your own boss, though, and have ample time to do things?
I absolutely love it. I mean, it's like a dream come true.
You sound super busy, though. I mean, you talk about this training, and I can't imagine, what do you do when it's like, when you're you're not going to compete in powerlifting, and then if this is your last strongman,
well, I'll always compete in powerlifting.
Okay, so you're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, that I'll keep doing because there's always a different weight category and a different age category. So I can continue to do that till I don't want to anymore. I'm in my 80s or 90s. But strongman, I want to prove I can get to one more, and I'm good at that point. It hurts.
Yeah, we all have a shelf though, right?
Yeah.
Like what level we want to reach.
Yeah. And so if I can get back there one more time, great. If not, I'll go to the Giants live show where I can qualify, and I'll either qualify or I'll competitively retire out of that show, as far as that goes next
And
year.
are you a familiar face at a lot of these events now?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
I just come out and
More
talk
of a
to people.
supporter? Or
Supporter. I do a lot of judging now.
are you coaching any of these top guys?
Oh, I'm starting to, yeah.
Okay.
And then they'll always come over and pick my brain, always. How should I lift this? I'm like, you should lift it like this. Really? Why? I'm like, well, it's going to be a car, and the car is going to rattle like this. I've picked the car up. I know what it's going to feel like. So when you get back, throw chains on your yoke, because the chains will wobble all over the place, and they'll simulate that. So when it starts to wobble and you're trying to go fast, you're going to be able to control it and get through it.
Experience matters.
I wish, we talk about all these makeshift exercises. Wouldn't it be cool to have a facility that housed all this?
Yes.
There's no such thing like besides your homes, correct?
Correct. Yeah, there's no, in Las Vegas, there's nothing like that. In other places, there are.
Like, what's the best facility you've seen like this? Is it in a different country, or is it basically?
No, there's one here up in Sacramento that was really, really good. Untamed Strength was pretty amazing.
Or just go to Brian's home gym.
Or Brian's.
No, well, we talk about
I know.
his new one, right?
And then there's another one in Nashville that Strength Elite Collective is doing that's got a lot of stuff in it. But they're few and far and in between. There's nothing here.
Who do you respect the most out of your competitors? Is that a tough question?
That's hard. I mean, Brian.
Are you guys good friends?
Yeah, we're good friends. I mean,
Even being competitive? And
yeah. Oh, yeah. Even being competitive, everything else, we've always gone after each other full bore. I mean, the TV show, I know I made everybody mad at the TV show because this late in my life, the next thing I go to pick up could be the last thing I go pick up.
I know, but was it a skit or was it real?
No, it was real. I went after every single thing I did. And
you're aggressive.
I had.
Well, they did real feats of strength.
Yeah.
Real.
That cannon was no joke.
Or the Denny Stones.
The Denny
I watched that one
Stones.
earlier today.
Well, I was hurt when we went to do the Denny Stones.
And then Brian broke the record.
Yeah.
on that one.
Yeah. Because the week before, we did the barrel lift, the 2,000-pound barrel lift in England in front of the bar. And we're up on this big monstrous thing. And it's like a giant yoke pick. And the record was like 1350. And all four of us did it. And then Eddie and Robert backed out. And I was like, well, I would kind of like to try more because that was way too easy. And then we kept going and going. And here's Robert and Eddie when I get down at the bottom. They're teasing me every time I come down. They're just giving me all kinds of flack. At 1850, I'm like, all right, I'm good. That's plenty. It was really heavy. And they're like, buck, 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 buck. And you don't see any of this in the show. They cut it all out. Which would have been good to see because they were sitting there teasing me. And they're doing that. And I'm like, you're not going to do that to me in front of the camera, and I'm not going to back out that way. So load it. Brian's up there about ready to kill me. And we get up to 2,000 pounds. I pop the 2,000 off, and then my upper back goes, and it was hurt. It did not feel good. And then 7 days later, I had to try to pick up the Denny Stones. I picked them up. I was able to go a little bit with them.
Only a certain portion of people can even pick them up.
Yeah. I think we were 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th at picking them up farmer's walk style.
Did you see at the Arnold this last year that 135-pound girl picked up the exact same equivalent?
Yeah.
135. The stuff
you
that
showed it to me.
was
Yeah.
unbelievable. It was a weird stance, but she did it.
Yeah, there's like 109 the last time we were there. I think it was 109 people that have actually picked up the Denny Stones. The actual
one's 400
stones,
and something pounds, the other's 300.
414, the other one's 318.
So it's awkward.
Yeah, so the 318 comes off the ground right away, and then you're like pulling on the other one. It's like a surprise. It's not a very fun surprise.
You know what else I've noticed? You like to drive.
Yeah.
So when I went up to Brian's 40th birthday party, his surprise party, Nick was there. We're just chatting, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I'm going to leave. And I'm like, I'm driving. I went, you fucking drove here from Vegas?
You should have hitched a ride.
Well, I had a plane ticket.
Oh,
I was like, I'm going. I didn't realize, but I'm noticing. And you got this little car.
Yeah, I got a Mini Cooper. Yeah.
He's got a Mini Cooper, this big guy.
Yeah, but the Mini Cooper has a lot of room.
Why don't you get a Mini Cooper?
I always liked the Mini Cooper after the movie, the Heist. What was the name of it? The Italian Job. Yeah.
So mine's a little bit bigger than theirs.
Okay.
It's got a little bit bigger of a motor. It's got twin turbos on it. It's 4-wheel drive.
It's a BMW, you know that, right? Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
They make them.
Yeah.
So it goes, and it's 4-wheel drive.
How long have you driven this Mini Cooper? And what do people react when you get out of this
They
thing?
have to look at you.
Well, they react pretty funny when I get out of it because I got to push my way out of the car.
Yeah.
So but the best part though was seeing Brian get in and out of that car because he's ridden in the car, and James was in the back.
He's not
So
a small person.
James is 6'5", 6'6". He's in the back seat filming Brian and I, and Brian's like mashed into it, but he got in.
Brian got in the Lambo, remember?
Oh,
At
yeah,
the
yeah.
All-Stars, yeah.
They drove in a Ferrari. They bought a Ferrari for him to fit
His
in.
head was sticking up higher than the windshield and shit. But let me ask you a question. Didn't you wear a tie and stuff when you were doing your beverage job?
Yeah.
Did I see you in a tie one time?
Yeah,
I thought so.
I used to have to wear a tie,
I remember.
shirts, and
I remember seeing you.
suit
Yeah.
and everything
Yeah.
else like that. When I go meet some of the executives from the casinos,
So how often do you wear a suit now?
I don't.
Of course, yeah.
I do for special occasions, like if there's some type of
Wedding
function
or whatever,
yeah. Then I'll go put my suit back on. But other than that,
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of custom suits, but man, I hate putting it. It's either like I wear a custom suit or I'm like this, right? We don't like wearing
people
sleeves.
come in
and,
town, they're like, "We're going to this restaurant." He's like, "There's a dress code."
Yeah, I said if I have to wear a collared shirt, I can't go because I don't wear long sleeve button up shirts, and that's just not my thing. I just
no.
I wear a white T-shirt. That's really what I do. Yeah.
I do not blame you at all.
Yeah.
I hated wearing those, and we got away with wearing a lot of polos, which was great. But there were times where you had to put on the shirts and dress shirts and everything and go in there that way. Yeah, I used to do that.
I mean, you've been big your whole life, so I mean, it's somewhat. Now I've slimmed down quite a bit, and we talk about the flying and comfort, of wearing certain clothes, and I don't think there will be a day that you're down to 250 pounds again, right?
Probably in my 60s.
Yeah.
The plan, because my wife
She has a plan for you. It's not your plan; it's her plan. Okay, we understand. Yeah, we know how this works.
So when I'm done with Strongman, I'll still compete in powerlifting, but I'll drop to 275.
Trimming down, okay.
And then I'll compete in the 275s for 5 to 6 years. And then when I get into my 60s, I'll drop down to 242, and then I'll compete at that till...
It's very hard to lose weight, bro.
Yeah.
I always said, I'm going to go down to 220. I've been trying to fight to get to 225. I'd have to not eat and not work out to really get down. I weigh 235 now, and I literally don't eat as much food as people would expect. And but I still love bodybuilding. I mean, it's something I'm going to be passionate about forever. And I'm sure you're the same way.
Every day.
Yeah, we still train all the time. I mean, yesterday I said I'm going to take yesterday off, and I went to the gym last night at like 10:30.
There was a period at the beginning of the end of last year. I think it was like 2 months straight. We didn't take one.
Yeah, we didn't take one day off. But it's funny because I went and did legs last night. So the intensity back in my era was like no phones allowed. Right? I was super serious, and him and I had a 2-hour conversation about business and whatever, why he trained legs. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I got to shoot some video now. So I had to get off the phone hey, I have to show some content here. So let you go so I can film something. So I went through a hamstring and a quad workout, and I did 20 sets of each, and we were on the phone talking I think I did cardio too when I was on the phone with them. So it's crazy.
So the intensity level isn't.
It's changed a little bit.
What it was.
It's changed. The culture's changed, and
that's changed a lot. That's changed a lot. I get having the phone there to film, but put it on the thing and leave it there. I'll look at some of these guys. I'm like, dude, your phone's on the thing, or you're gonna go home.
How important is social media to you?
It's important. It's very important, but it's not the end of everything. It has its tool, it has its use, and I use it for what it is. Other than that, it's meaningless.
How do people reach out to you the most? On Instagram or a website or
Instagram the most, but in my bio on Instagram there's a link tree. So if somebody wants to get coaching or whatever, they can just hit that link and they can contact me and stuff like that. But and then there's YouTube. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube.
You have your own YouTube channel?
Yeah. What is it called?
Nick Best Strongman.
Okay.
Everything, you can pretty much type into everything between Twitter,
Nick
Instagram, Facebook. It's Nick Best Strongman.
Okay.
YouTube, all that stuff. TikTok, which I just started TikTok, 4 weeks ago?
It's a good tool.
Which is, it's been
I utilize it a lot, yeah.
Yeah, we were filming after the Strongman.
I know, I follow you.
Oh, you do, yeah.
We were having Brian do like dances and stuff on it. So
That'd be hilarious.
Because right away he was like, "I'm not doing any something dances." I was like, "You were on a tutu on your YouTube doing ballerina."
Yeah, but it's not really like that anymore. It's not dancing to music. It's just content, right? I mean, I give a lot of tips on there, and I do some funny stuff too. But it's definitely, social media is definitely a tool nowadays.
Yeah, and that's what it is, and it's a very useful tool. But if you get caught up in the messed up things about social media, it can do a lot of damage. It can take away from living actual life. All these kids are worried about being safe. Live your life. Mm-hmm. We could pass and move on to the next stage of whatever people want to, call it.
Next, yeah.
Yeah, at any time. You might as well live your life and enjoy it and have fun and be good to people and each other instead of sitting on there bashing people. If you don't have anything nice to say to people, just don't say it.
Isn't it great to get the people that come up and say you motivated me or you changed my lives?
I absolutely love that. Yeah,
it's the greatest gift I've gotten from being who I am, having the platform.
I mean, heck, you had an effect on me. I mean, you really did. You were very encouraging to me as I was still going and getting started into this. And I remember asking you questions a little bit about dealing with people and fame and some of the other stuff that comes through it. And I don't know if you remember all that, but it was cool.
I hear that often, but it's one of those things where you never imagine yourself in that position, right? I mean, you were just dedicated to what you did.
Yeah.
And now I'm really happy when he told me that now you're basically, your own boss and doing what you want to do, you love. I think that's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see the rest of the journey now. And
now we're going to have to follow you to hit number 11.
Yeah, I would love to get number 11.
I mean, I guess
how many
that's
guys have done 11? Or is it the same set?
I think it's the same amount.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then you need to do 12.
Let's get to 11 first. And then
We're shooting big. We're shooting big.
But yeah, I want to do 11. I like the way the events have changed. Because once Sedrunas stepped back from it, the whole way the events are kind of changed. So for me, that suits more what I do. And it's more speed events and stuff like that, even though I'm not quite as fast as I used to. Agility, stuff like that. So it's more athletic now, which I like it, but does it really find who the strongest human is?
I don't know enough about it.
There were no max lifts in the finals this year, except for the Flintstone lift. There was no max deadlift.
Was this
like that.
Was this the most different World's Strongest Man you've witnessed?
I don't know.
Change-wise?
There's been just a ton of changes. And this was probably the best I've ever seen the equipment.
When do we get to see it?
And the treatment of the athletes.
I don't know when it airs.
I think it airs on CBS in like a month.
Okay.
It comes out pretty fast in the U.S., and then England's got to wait till Christmas.
It's kind of crazy because, remember the Olympia, we didn't know the results.
No, we were younger,
and obviously you guys were there and you knew the results, but I wonder if people call around right now and say, hey, who won?
Well, they know because people post on their social media.
Oh, okay. They did.
World
okay.
posts on their social media.
Okay.
They just don't show
the footage.
Actual,
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember last year they were saying whoever won couldn't post on their social. It was remember hearing that. I'm thinking, dude, there's no way you can hold this back.
There's
no way.
Well, remember, it was kind of a lockdown year too, right? It was limited who could attend, so there wasn't as much video footage. Like I
222.
I saw your Instagram. You were filming, what was going on, and obviously I knew the results based on what I asked, but I don't follow it that close. So,
but I almost got sent home in 2010 because my wife owned a website that it was a forum, and that people would go to and chat and talk about it, and there were other people that had gone to the contest were posting on it, and they wanted us to take it down, and I'm like, it's not us. Why are we taking something down that's on a message board? And they had a conversation.
That was before Instagram.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So they used to be really tight-lipped on all the athletes. Now they just don't want you to show.
I don't know why they don't just stream it, because nowadays they're going to find out. You should stream it, still record it, because people are going to watch it on TV, aren't
Later,
streaming
yeah.
it. You could do both.
So that's what Giants Live does.
Yeah.
But it's still IMG. It's still a production company, and it's still their baby, and they're going to run it how they want to run it. It's a TV show first. Yeah. And fans got to understand that and realize that, and that part's probably not going to change anytime soon, which means it'll change next year now that I just said that.
Well, good. Hopefully.
So,
But it's great it's on CBS.
yeah, it's great that it's on CBS.
We never had bodybuilding on there in quite a long time. I think back in the way back, it might have been aired 90s. On there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. CBS had the original World's Strongest Man on it, and Lou Ferrigno and Ken Patera and Franco Colombo, stuff like that. So they did a great job with it, and then ESPN got it, and it went back to CBS. So it bounces around, but it's a great show. It's fun. It's fun competing in it. It's fun to watch. I love doing it. It's just a little bit different than every other contest on the face of the planet.
Well, let's see if you can get back on the big stage, man.
That's the goal.
We appreciate you coming on and chatting with us today. And
thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor. I mean, it really is. This has been a lot of fun.
Stay healthy, and we're going to watch the progress here, man. Yeah. There's something to fight for as I'm approaching 50.
I'm going to be when he's there at number 11. I'm going to be there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
You said where is it?
It's in Myrtle Beach next year.
Oh, okay, nice. That's a nice area.
Are you shooting for this next year?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, and then supposedly they called. Well, I know they called all four of us for the Strongest Man in History again. So they're
cool.
talking.
It's another series.
That would be so
awesome. Possible. We're talking about it.
I hope it works for you.
And if Eddie's talking about it, everybody.
They need to put you in one of the episodes. Do you have any feat of strength?
No, but you remember the picture of me with the Strongman and
we posted that.
And I was still 250 there. And you remember that picture? It's a meme now.
Yeah,
no, it's a meme. Yeah, it's a meme. It's a meme. Yeah.
It says when the bodybuilder sees a Strongman, Brian's arm looks bigger than your whole torso. You know what, though? This is like 3 years ago. I said, hey, it's his birthday. And Brian goes, watch what I do. He's like, I did him dirty. He posted that picture.
That was before, like, the guys were super popular, though. Yeah, I mean, Shaw wasn't what he is today. No. Like, I don't think he even won a lot back then. It was all MHP. So, I mean, think about how long ago that was.
That was quite a while ago. He might have had one already at that point. And I think he probably won an Arnold or two at that point, too.
We got to dig that picture up.
No,
you need to throw it in there.
Yeah.
We're going to find it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Until the next time, okay? And thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.